welcome, and especially to Mike Tindall, my partner in crime here, our co-founder and chief architect from thinQ. How you doing today, Mike?
Good, Tim. How you doing?
Doing well, doing well. Excited to do this today, and like I said, the primary folks we invited to this session are tele customers. By the way, I'm Tim McLean, the director of marketing here at thinQ. So as I just mentioned, thinQ is partnered with teli. We started that in May, and you've seen some communications in the meantime. And really, what we're most excited about is to bring all the strengths of teli into thinQ and vice versa to create something new, really a complete, CPaaS solution on the voice and the messaging side of things, along with some other unique things we can add to the table, including something like programmable voice, which we'll start talking into in the next couple of months as things come together. But some very unique capabilities, and really, it's all about having powerful APIs and eventually a combined platform, but for now two platforms that give you total control and transparency for your communications. And really, what we hear most from our customers that they like most, of course, is that full level of control, the redundancy, and of course our technology powering cost savings. But the most important takeaway from this as we come together is that there are no changes to your existing setup today. It really is business as usual. So what you're going to see is that, thinQ.com, teli.net, our websites, and, those will continue for the foreseeable future. There's no immediate change. You don't have to do any recoding. But the fact that we are now partnered up gives you access to each other's sets of solutions, which is really exciting. So again, a majority of you are currently teli customers, and we really want to help introduce you at a high level to thinQ. And at the end of this short presentation, which we want to keep to about 20-25 minutes, is we'd love to be able to go a little bit deeper with you one-on-one through the thinQ platform to show you, our voice solutions even more in depth. So we'll have information about how you can sign up for one of those other quick one-on-one demos with one of our cloud solution specialists, just to really see, how it works from the inside. But today we're just going to give you a flavor, get you started, and get you interested, hopefully, and then we can do that deeper dive as we go forward. So the first thing is, if you look around the horn, these are sort of all the solutions that thinQ and teli today provide. The last webinar was down there at the bottom. We went over the messaging solution on the teli side. Today we're going to look at how you can source phone numbers, do inbound and outbound voice with thinQ, and really give you guys potentially your first glimpse of thinQ's platform and our capabilities, and then we'll roll forward from there. But I always find, and we get really good feedback after these webinars, that like one or two case studies to help sort of introduce some of the things that thinQ does really, really well, helps people really kind of get up to speed, perk up their ears, so they can see a fit for something that they may already have a need for today. The first success story to share, thinQ customer, is a company called ServiceTitan. You can go check them out, servicetitan.com. And really, they've built this they really call themselves the operating system for a field service company. And they have an all-in-one platform for these field service businesses. And part of what they do is call delivery, call tracking, and basically these businesses run, these local HVAC field service businesses run their businesses through ServiceTitan. ServiceTitan gives them a phone number that when customers call, it's routed through and tracked, and it all shows up inside of ServiceTitan. So it's really important for them to have great call quality, great call delivery, and all the things that they would expect when they're, providing the service to their customers. But what was going on with them was that they were really locked into a single carrier, sound familiar, and they had static routes into rural areas, and they were having a lot of trouble getting calls completed into these rural areas. They didn't have redundancy. And they really had a tough time getting support whenever they had quality issues or delivery issues. They were basically filing support tickets and waiting 1, 2, in some cases 3 days. So they came to thinQ to get a few things. The first thing was, we need a wider network. thinQ has 40 different carriers that we can have potentially en route. And that directly will and has helped them deliver more calls into those rural areas. They're able to log into to our thinQ.io platform to do call research when they have issues, quality issues, and actually effect a fix on their own without having to file a support ticket. But when they have had questions or needs, we have a much more veteran support team that replies very, very quickly. Actual human beings onshore U.S. Who are get 5 stars all the time for their level of support and their return on those questions. And again, really, what I think what everybody wants is maximum uptime with dynamic failover that's built in. So Service Titan, by switching from a single carrier with these static routes, was able to take control and deliver more high quality calls. And along the way, they've actually been able to save some money as well. So that's, I think, what everybody wants at the end of the day. Another great story is TrackDrive. So TrackDrive has a SaaS platform that offers lead to call technology. So again, they built their platform for folks who wanted to do these lead to call campaigns on both Twilio and Plivo. So that was sort of their redundancy. They built it and had it running through Twilio and Plivo. But they found that those companies had limited, very expensive calling capabilities because they really wanted to scale up and have that higher quality. And they found as they scaled that their costs were starting to get out of whack. So their cost of goods were higher than they wanted them to be. And they were looking for an alternative. I shouldn't say an alternative. What I should say is a company that can plug into Twilio and Plivo to help with the telecom side of it. Not so much the creation of the platform, but the delivery of their calls, their voice in particular, for them to be able to save money and get some more flexibility because they wanted transparency and redundancy. And again, they wanted better support. And they were able to get all those things from us, which is exciting to us. Really adding thinQ as a bring your own carrier solution to Twilio and Plivo. It takes literally minutes to make one or two small code changes without changing anything else in their implementation or any Twilio or Plivo implementation. To add thinQ as a bring your own carrier solution, where they're able to, port and provision new marketing numbers very quickly in large quantities, get our 40 carrier network, get transparency into those carriers and calls if they have quality issues, and really save, in their case, 60% over what they were spending on their telecom costs with Twilio and Plivo. So they still are using them, to actually run their platform, but they're using us for the telecom side. So hopefully we see some matches there with some of your use cases as well. And last but not least, before I turn things over to Mike to really show you, again, high level what thinQ offers from a voice perspective, one of the things that we hear all the time is that before really finding thinQ and our very unique solutions, some folks were having some service issues that were really costing them a fair amount of money. And as you can imagine, based on this research, you could stand to lose a fair amount for even an hour of an outage for your voice services. So we're here with a unique platform that can help you circumvent those issues, take control, give you full transparency, and of course, save you some money along the way, and allow you to sleep better at night so that you don't have to worry about losing time if things would happen because you have such a deep, redundant network. So with that, Mike, would love to turn it over to you because as one of our co-founders, I think one of the things that we talk about a lot, of course, is there are so many single carrier solutions, and people find out pretty quickly that at the end of the day, no single carrier is good all the time for every route, right?
No, that's exactly right. And that's one of the things I want to talk about and go into depth on the next series of slides is I think the most important way to think about thinQ is we are not a carrier, right? So no single carrier is good for every route all the time. We didn't want to be in the carrier business. We are a routing platform. So if you hit the next slide, our platform powers 40 plus different interconnects that are completely at the disposal and access of our clients. So it's really sort of I like to use the phrase, choose your own adventure. It's really craft your own product based on your service need, whether it's, high quality, direct connection into a certain area, low cost. I want, 50 or, 30 in route for maximum failover, redundancy, those sorts of things. There are a wide variety of ways, and I always enjoy looking at and also talking to customers when they figure out different ways to use the platform and how they may craft the product for a specific product they may have, whether it's contact center, business case use, or call tracking, those sorts of things. It's really interesting to see how our customers use and really enjoy the flexibility. So rather than having to establish 40, 50 relationships, manage interconnects, manage interrupts, all of the things that go along with that, trouble ticketing, commitments, our platform aggregates all of this in one place and gives complete access and control to our customers, which really was the genesis for the foundation of the company. My co-founder and I come from a long telecom background, worked around different CPaaS companies, etc. And 10, 11 years ago, it was just why is there a veil over everything? Our customers are smart. They know who the suppliers are. Of course, they could go direct, but we want to create a simple, easy to use, powerful platform to basically use these things as a strategic utility on and off as you need it. Carve out routes if you're having issues in certain areas on your own without having to wait 24, 36 hours or the standard. I can't find that example. Send me a fresh one. So the next series of slides sort of illustrates this, and the slides are a great backdrop, and I really enjoy having discussions with people more than anything else. So I think, if you really want to explore the power of the platform, getting set up for a one-on-one demo is definitely a way to go. Kick the tires. We'll throw some credit on there. You can play with it, see how it works. But this is just an example. You're able to create your own trunks and pin those to different routing profiles based on what your needs are. If we go to the next slide, you're able to. I've already touched through this, but we talked about the 40 plus vendors, and on the inbound side, there's 5 different toll-free vendors that we've interconnected with that you can pin your inbound toll-free traffic to if you prefer one or the other, or you can enable all 5 and allow our dynamic toll-free least cost routing engine to automatically program those routes based on where your customers are calling you from. Sounds complicated. It is. In the toll-free world, toll-free charges are allocated based on where the traffic's coming from, like New York, California, North Carolina, etc. Because it's free for those folks to call that number. So that's how, as a toll-free number owner, behind the scenes, the costing happens. In many cases, that's often a foreign concept to people, even who have been using toll-free for a very long time, because they typically contract a flat rate or some sort of tiered rating system. It's not a dynamic variable cost structure, which is really how the industry works. So of course we can do flat rate, but we also have the ability to enable that least cost routing engine on toll-free, which really optimizes based on the specific use case of the given toll-free number. It's not just a one size fits all. And that's really, I think, if as you explore the thinQ offering, really the underlying tone is it's a customized, tailored solution for your needs. It's not a one size fits all sort of product suite. One of the things that was key, like right out of the gate, going back to the kind of aha moment when we started, was why is there a veil over everything? Why can't I see anything? Why can't my engineers and smart people just do their own diagnostics and find out what the problem is? I don't want to wait for multiple tiers of triage and all of these other things. Just give me the data. So we did that. We turn the data over to the clients. So within the system is a complete tracing engine that allows customers to diagnose their own issues if they want to. If not, they can certainly open a ticket with a NOC. Our NOC will do the same exercise and find out what the problem is. And whether it's a self-diagnose issue, the customer can go in and either wholesale turn off an entire network if they want to, or they can say, well, it's really only isolated to this LATA or this rate center or this state. And you can create an instant carve out for that one specifically affected area while the NOC and the engineers work on, ticket escalations with the underlying provider. And then once that issue is resolved, pull it right back out. The net effect is much, much shorter burn times from the time either you or your customer recognizes an issue to the time that it's actually resolved. And I mean, resolved from the customer's perspective. So they're not sitting there for hours and days and dealing with a particular issue. So main takeaway there is customer has control. we took that brief survey at the beginning, and it looks like there's quite a few folks that are already using CPaaS platforms. Tim mentioned Twilio. The slide covers that. We also have integrations with Plevo and SignalWire, who we're happy to partner with. So if you're using one of those three flavors of CPaaS platforms and you've written an application and you're happy with it, but maybe you've got an issue with the cost of the minutes, or you don't like 60-second rounding or whatever, we've written a plugin that allows the Think platform to plug seamlessly into that application. And instead of using their, what I call house routes, you can use your routes on the Think platform, both in and outbound. So this example shows how to short circuit and circumvent the outbound piece. So if your application's making a call out, it shoots it over to our application gateway, authenticates you with your account and token, and routes it to the appropriate trunk on your profile. On the inbound side, we don't have a screenshot, but again, on a demo, several ways we allow inbound routing, of course, IP address, DNS, both A record and SRV record. And then we also allow for a SIP URI, which is how we plug in these applications to a CPaaS provider. So you just simply pop that call over to whatever SIP URI you've got designated on that end, and it'll shoot it right over there. Might want to check. Some of those have SIP transport fees. What a great revenue stream, right? Over the internet. Anyway, they will typically have like a small 0.00 something per minute, but even when you net those out, it still ends up saving money and enables a lot more failover just by virtue of the fact that you're circumventing the 60-second rounding. Even if it were the same rate, still ends up saving money. Okay. Talk about phone numbers a little bit, but through our portal or API, very standard set of features. You can search, order, provision both domestic, US, and toll-free numbers, and provision those through the portal. As I mentioned, we've got a multitude of ways to interconnect to the inbound side, whether you want to pick one of those interconnect technologies, IP, DNS, SRV, A record, or SIP URI. Finally, there's a PSTN failback that does have a per minute charge on it to fail to the PSTN. But the point is, you can define any one of those and mix and match up to 3 and set basically a failover order. So on your end, if you've got multiple sites, multiple regions, if you're running in a cloud, that kind of thing, it'll automatically hunt through those for you. A lot of folks will choose that sort of PSTN fallback as a last resort, sort of old school. And another feature on there is our time of day routing. So you can actually apply time of day routing templates to those numbers or groups of numbers and define what we call a follow the sun sort of profile. So you can define the time slices where it uses different routing profiles based on the time that you set. Big feature request from a lot of our inbound contact centers. Love that feature. Past lives, many moons ago at other providers used to get that request all the time. So that was one of the ones we were excited to build in right out of the gate. Go ahead and get that. So kind of wrapping up all the points that we just made relative to the capabilities of the platform. The net is it really culminates in what we call an intelligent routing platform. So Think is always going to try to find the best path for your call, whether it's in or outbound, shortest path to the destination, best cost available, and using all of the inputs and metrics that the network collects, plus the customer inputs, whether that be route block carve outs, etc., to find that best place for that call. And the net is just getting it there quickly and efficiently, and with minimal quality issues or zero quality issues, and at the absolute best cost. I like to say best cost routing, not least cost. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I sort of skipped around, but talking about the toll-free LCR. As we mentioned, we've got 5 different tier 1 interconnects that we can pin the toll-free numbers to, or you can choose to let the toll-free engine mix and match across all 5. Some people have preferences. They can turn one off and okay, it's doing all 4, that kind of thing. But it's an automatic system that uses our AI engine and analytics backward looking to look at calling trends and patterns to determine the best networks for your inbound traffic.
That's great. Thank you, Mike. We're right on time. 20 minutes in. That's perfect. I think it's a great overview. Everything from buying those phone numbers, provisioning, porting numbers, to how we routing them in and out. Our unique, products around, with our least cost routing, as we call it, intelligent call routing. Just exciting things that, even though this industry feels like most people have been in it a long time and they sort of know it, they're kind of surprised to find, especially on the toll-free side, some of the capabilities that we have that nobody else in the world offers. So we'd love to, again, as Mike said, one of the best ways to understand, how there might be potential fit here is, really to set up, go over to thinQ.com, click on that, get a demo, and let's just set, a 15, 30-minute window right now, and we'll get you on the phone with one of our cloud specialists. And again, we're not here to push you into anything. We just want to understand your use case, and see if there is a better way to power, your voice communications. You already obviously, love what teli has to offer, but we'd love to, take a look at your voice needs and see if there's a potential fit. So, like I said, best way to do that, go over to thinQ.com, click on that, get a demo. But in the meantime, I'd love to answer any questions you guys have. Mike, it looks like we had a couple that came into the Q&A. And what do you know? The first 2 were about Stir Shaken. That's tomorrow. So we're excited to answer your questions.
Look for the Christmas presents, man.
Yeah, I know. We all know.
My cousin was like that.
What's that?
He go find all the Christmas gifts the day before.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, tomorrow, Mike and I have lots to share about Stir Shaken. Well, I should say Mike has a lot to share tomorrow. He's been working hard on this, and I think all the providers out there have been working against, some summer deadlines that the FCC put in place for Stir Shaken to really help combat those robocalls. So we'll have lots of detail about that tomorrow, and we'd love for you guys to show up there. Let's see. And of course, we always get questions about price, Mike. So really, and you mentioned it's not so much the least cost, it's the best price. So, it's all depending on where they're calling from and to, and, can you give folks an idea of, how the pricing works?
Well, is it in reference to what, term or toll-free ridge or?
Term. This one was for term. Yeah.
Yeah. Terms variably priced based on vendor, because like I said, we are not a carrier. So it's not a blended, Wizard of Oz, here's a price, I'm going to work my margins on the back end. No, it's here's the deck for each one. It's completely transparent based on, you want to pick Verizon, you want to pick IntelliQuint, Level 3, whoever. Each one of those has a price sheet. Some customers choose to load them, or they usually start off kind of doing some analytics, but then they realize that the engine does a really, really good job and kind of stop doing that. But pricing is variable. It's not we can do flat rate if you need flat rate. It's just a matter of, what the customer preference is, but the engine itself is designed as an access point to all of these networks. So each one of those networks has their appropriate price sheet for intrastate. In the case of international, there's international rates as well.
Gotcha. Here's a question about the route blocks. Sound pretty exciting. What if somebody, this person's mentioning, if I went in right now and put a route block in place, how quickly does that take effect?
It takes about 2 minutes to propagate across the whole network, depending on when you hit it. But it's pretty fast, right. And you can choose automatic timeouts, because like me, I'm moving 100 miles an hour. I see an issue. It's like whack that mole, move on to the next thing, and then I forget. So you can set like an automatic timeout or TTL to say keep this in for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, or you can make them persistent. Don't recommend persistent because people forget those too, and then pricing changes or something happens, and they're like, "Why isn't this going through this vendor?" Well, you got a block in there that's 2 years old. So right. Try to stay away from the persistent ones. But there's a it's pretty flexible. So you can do NPA, NXX, rate center, state, LATA, OCN are the different sort of zones, I guess, if you want to think of it that way, that you can carve out.
Right.
Same thing's true on the inbound toll free side too. So if you have a specific LATA that you don't want considered for a given vendor, you can create a carve out or a route block on the toll free engine as well, and it'll just ignore it when it's doing its calculations.
Gotcha. Well, last call, guys. If anybody else has any more questions, that was all the ones that came in initially. We'd love to answer them. Mm-hmm. Keep in mind too, while we're waiting on that, just for a minute. Obviously, this has been recorded. We'll be sharing a recording of it, so you can go back and watch it, and get a good overview of what it is that we have to offer. And and we'll also be sharing, there'll be a link in there when you get the recording that you can register for tomorrow's Stir Shaken webinar, and also our teli and thinQ API webinar that will be coming up after July 4th. I believe it's July 15th, but both of those will be in the email. But Mike, this is perfect. Got us in just under half an hour, and appreciate the overview. I think everybody does. And like I said, the video will be posted on the blog, and we'll be sharing it out. And in the meantime, head over to thinQ.com or teli.net. Both of our websites have a link that says get a demo. We'd love to get on that demo, spend 15, 30 minutes with you to go through your use case and see if there's a fit, either for our voice services or Teli's messaging.
Yeah, real quick, Tim. So super excited about tomorrow's Stir Shaken webinar. We've got a huge turnout. It's going to be crazy. I've never seen numbers like what we have registered. So I would encourage anyone who is on this one, if you have questions, it sounds like we've already got a few submissions. Go ahead and get those questions in. We'll make sure that we get those prioritized and get your questions answered tomorrow. Because I feel like tomorrow, when it gets to the live section of it, there are going to be too many of them flying by, and we won't be able to get to every single one in real time. But, just want to put that out there.
Yeah, and I'll actually have a link. By the way, if you could just send that over to tim@thinQ.com, tim@thinQ.com. I've been collecting them. I think, Mike, I have about almost 20 of them so far from the initial registrations. That's plenty. And we baked as much of that into the deck as we can, but I'm sure there's some we will answer during the live portion because, this is the big topic of the summer. So appreciate that. Well, we're looking forward to that, and thanks to everybody for attending today. It looks like we had a really good turnout today, Mike, as well. So looking forward to tomorrow as well. And like I said, watch for the email and the recordings to go up, and we're looking forward to seeing you on one of our next webinars. And I hope you guys enjoy your July 4th holiday if we don't talk to you before then, and would love to get on a demo and talk you through the things that we have to offer, as well as thinQ and teli come together. Thanks again, Mike. Appreciate your time.
Thanks. Have a good one.